Marcus had never planned on becoming a hero or a political pawn. He was just a regular human working as an engineer aboard the Pride of New Earth, a massive space station floating far from Earth, near the border of alien-controlled space. The station was a hub of trade and diplomacy, and it was where humans and aliens interacted, sometimes with kindness, sometimes with tension. But for Marcus, it was just home. He lived a quiet life, fixing machines, reading books in the evenings, and occasionally grabbing a drink with his friends. Nothing too exciting until the day he met Kira. It started as a simple meeting. He was repairing one of the station's communication relays when a voice interrupted his work. "Excuse me," the voice said softly. Marcus turned, wiping the grease off his hands. Standing there was a girl, no, a woman, but her eyes were unlike any human he had ever seen. They were a deep violet glowing faintly, and her skin shimmered like the surface of a distant moon. She was an alien, though her beauty was nothing like the harsh, intimidating images humans usually imagined of alien species. Kira was graceful, almost ethereal, with a calm aura that seemed to ease the tension around her. "Can I help you?" Marcus asked, slightly taken aback by her presence. Kira smiled gently. "I was hoping you could assist with a small issue with my ship's navigation system." Marcus nodded and, without another word, followed her to the nearby docking bay. As he worked on the console, Kira watched him closely, but not in an intrusive way. More like she was studying the way he worked, as if it was an art form. They spoke briefly about the problem, but most of their conversation was about the station, life in space, and the many cultures that made up the bustling community of the Pride of New Earth. By the end of the afternoon, the problem was fixed and Kira was grateful. "Thank you," she said with a soft bow of her head. "I will not forget your kindness." Marcus smiled, shaking his head. "It was nothing, just doing my job." But that was just the beginning. Over the next few weeks, Kira seemed to be everywhere. She would appear on the station, sometimes in the halls, sometimes in the mess hall, always looking at him with those glowing violet eyes. She would smile and speak to him, and they'd chat about everything and nothing. At first, it felt casual, a friendly connection between two people living in the same space. But as time passed, Marcus began to realize that her visits were becoming more frequent, and her conversations were no longer just small talk. It was one evening, while Marcus was sitting in the quiet corner of the station's lounge, when it all changed. He was enjoying a simple meal of grilled vegetables when Kira sat down across from him, her usual calm smile on her face. "Marcus," she began, her voice soft but serious. "I've been thinking about something." Marcus raised an eyebrow, setting his fork down. "What's on your mind?" "There's a tradition among my people," she said, leaning forward slightly, her hands clasped together. "When two beings form a deep connection, they are expected to make it official. They join together, not just in spirit but in name. It's a binding of families, of worlds." Marcus frowned, confused. "Wait a second. What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about marriage," Kira replied, her voice steady. "It is customary among my people, a union between two individuals to strengthen both families and their people." Marcus was stunned. He stared at her, trying to process what she was saying. Marriage to her? But they had only known each other for a few weeks. He barely knew anything about her family, or the responsibilities that came with such a decision. "I'm not sure I understand," Marcus said slowly. "We've only known each other for a short time. I mean, I like talking to you, but this feels like a bit much." Kira's eyes softened. "I understand. It is a lot to ask. But you see, my family has taken a special interest in you. You are unique among humans. Your strength, your intelligence, your humility. My people find these traits appealing." She hesitated, then added, "They believe you would make an excellent match for me." Marcus felt a mix of emotions rise inside him: confusion, disbelief, and a slight sense of being overwhelmed. He wasn't some kind of prize, was he? He was just a regular engineer doing his job. "But why me?" he asked, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "I'm just a guy. I don't have anything special to offer. I'm not a politician or a general or—" "Ah," Kira interrupted gently. "But that's exactly why. You are not one of those things, and that makes you special in the eyes of my family. They see value in your simplicity." Marcus stared at her, unsure what to say. It wasn't that he didn't like Kira. He was beginning to like her more than he had expected. But this was too much. A political marriage? He wasn't a king or a diplomat. He didn't want to be part of some grand scheme. "I'm flattered, Kira," Marcus said, standing up from the table. "But this is all moving way too fast for me. I don't even know your family. I don't know what they want from me or why they think I'm the right choice. I just don't feel ready for anything like this." Kira looked up at him, her expression unreadable. "I understand," she said quietly. "I will tell my family that you are not interested. But please, Marcus, think about it. There is a future here for you, a future where you can be more than you ever imagined." With that, she stood and walked away, leaving Marcus alone with his thoughts. After Kira left the lounge, Marcus found himself unable to shake off the conversation. The proposal, her family, the pressure. It all felt so foreign to him. He had spent his life building things, fixing machines, solving problems, things that made sense. But this was a problem he couldn't solve with a wrench or a blueprint. It was personal. It was emotional. And it was growing bigger by the day. Over the next few days, Marcus tried to focus on his work, but his mind kept drifting back to the same question. What was he supposed to do? He wasn't sure what kind of power Kira's family had, but he was beginning to feel their presence everywhere. There were subtle things, like a package of rare materials being delivered to his quarters, or the sudden invitation to a high-ranking dinner with a few important figures from the station. It was all too much, too fast. He didn't want to be part of a political game, not when it came at the cost of his own freedom. But Kira wasn't making it easy. She would still appear at his side during lunch breaks, or in the corridors when he least expected it. Each time, her presence was like a quiet reminder of the choice he was being asked to make. One afternoon, as Marcus was passing through the station's main hall, he spotted Kira standing by the large observation window, her gaze lost in the swirling colors of distant stars. She looked like she was waiting for someone or something. As Marcus approached, she turned and met his eyes. She gave him a soft, knowing smile. "You've been thinking about it, haven't you?" she asked, her voice low but calm. Marcus hesitated. "How do you know?" "I can see it in your eyes," she said, stepping closer. "You're torn. You don't know whether to trust me or to run away. But I promise you, Marcus, I'm not trying to trap you. This isn't about some game or political advantage. It's about us, about finding something real." He looked at her, a mix of frustration and curiosity crossing his features. "But your family, they want to control everything. This isn't just about us. This is about alliances, about power. I'm not some piece in a chess game, Kira. I'm just a guy." Kira's eyes softened. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "You're more than that. You just don't see it yet. I know my family. I know what they want. But I also know what they need. And I need you." Marcus could feel the sincerity in her voice, but that didn't make the situation any easier to understand. "I can't just marry you because your family wants me to. I have my own life, my own plans. I've worked hard to get where I am." Kira stepped back slightly, her expression faltering for the first time. "I know, and I don't want to take that away from you. But I can't change my family, Marcus. This is the reality of our world. You have to understand, I'm bound by duty, just as much as you are." Her words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Marcus could see the struggle in her eyes, the conflict between her desire for him and her obligation to her family. He knew what it was like to be torn between duty and personal desires. But this was different. This wasn't a small choice. This was a life-changing decision that could shape everything. "I don't know what you want me to do," Marcus said, his voice low and full of uncertainty. "I can't just pretend everything's fine and agree to this arrangement. I don't know if I can live with that." Kira stood silent for a moment, her gaze drifting away as if she was trying to find the right words. "I don't want you to pretend. I want you to see what I see. I want you to see that together we can change the future. Your presence here is already making waves, Marcus. My family may think they're in control, but they've underestimated you. They're wrong about what they think is best." She paused, stepping even closer. "Please just think about it. Don't let this opportunity slip away." Marcus couldn't respond immediately. His thoughts were racing, his mind a whirlwind of doubts and possibilities. He wanted to be with Kira, but could he truly accept the life she was offering him? A life where he would be controlled by her family's expectations, bound by a commitment that wasn't his to make? Before he could speak, A sharp voice interrupted their conversation. Kyra! Both of them turned to see a tall figure approaching, an older man dressed in an elaborate uniform. His face was stern, and the coldness in his eyes could have frozen the air between them. Father? Kyra said, her voice suddenly distant. Are you wasting time with this human? The man asked, his tone filled with condescension. You have responsibilities. You can't afford to let personal feelings get in the way. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. This was the man Kyra had spoken of, the head of her family. The patriarch who had the power to make or break not only Kyra's future, but also his own. He could feel the weight of his gaze as if it was sizing him up, measuring his worth. I'm not wasting time, Father, Kyra said firmly, though her voice betrayed a hint of hesitation. I'm trying to make a decision that will affect both of our futures. The patriarch's eyes flicked to Marcus, his expression hardening. Your future is already decided. You will marry into a powerful family whether you like it or not. And as for him, he gestured toward Marcus, he's a distraction. He doesn't understand what's at stake. Marcus felt a surge of anger rise within him. He wanted to speak, to tell the man exactly what he thought of his family's power games, but something held him back. He wasn't sure if it was fear or the knowledge that he was out of his depth in this alien world. I'll make my own decision, Father, Kyra said, her voice unwavering now. This is my life, and I won't let you control it any longer. The patriarch's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, Marcus feared the situation might escalate. But after a long silence, the man turned on his heel, his cloak swishing as he walked away. Kyra watched her father leave, a mixture of relief and uncertainty crossing her face. She turned to Marcus, her expression softening. I don't want to be controlled by them, she whispered, but I don't know how to escape it. Marcus didn't know what to say. He felt like he was being pulled in two different directions, one by Kyra, the other by her powerful family. And no matter how much he wanted to find a way out, it seemed like the stakes were too high. I'll think about it, Marcus said quietly, his voice heavy with the weight of the decision he knew he would eventually have to make. Kyra nodded, but he could see the doubt in her eyes. He didn't know what the future held, but he knew one thing for sure. Nothing would ever be the same. The days that followed were filled with uncertainty for Marcus. Each morning he woke up with the weight of the decision heavy on his mind. Should he accept Kyra's family's offer and become part of their powerful world? Or should he walk away, risking everything for the possibility of a normal life? He knew that saying no might cost him everything, his career, his reputation, maybe even his freedom. But at the same time, he couldn't ignore the growing connection he felt toward Kyra. Despite the pressure from her family, she seemed sincere, and her desire to forge her own path was something he admired deeply. She wasn't just some pawn in her family's game. She was a person, a woman who was trying to figure out who she was in the face of immense expectations. One evening, Marcus found himself walking through the station's promenade, his mind still racing. He didn't want to make the decision alone. He wanted to talk to someone who might understand. As he turned a corner, he saw Kyra standing by one of the observation windows, staring out into the vastness of space. He couldn't help but feel a sense of calm wash over him. She was waiting for him just as she had done before. Kyra, he called out, his voice soft but clear. She turned, her violet eyes meeting his. Her face brightened when she saw him. Marcus, she said, her tone warm. I was hoping you would come. He walked up to her, standing side by side as they looked out at the stars. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence between them felt comfortable, like they both knew the weight of the situation, but neither of them had the words to express it. Finally, Marcus spoke, his voice quiet but determined. I've been thinking a lot. About you, about us, about what your family wants from me. Kyra turned to him, her eyes full of understanding. I know it's a lot to ask. I don't want to pressure you. But this is more than just a marriage. It's about us being able to live our lives without fear, without feeling like we're just following orders. Marcus looked at her, his heart racing. I want to believe in us, Kyra. I really do. But your family, they want me for their own reasons. They see me as a tool, not as someone who can make decisions for himself. She reached out and took his hand, a soft smile on her lips. "You're not just a tool to me, Marcus. You're someone I care about. I never wanted to drag you into this, but I can't make this decision alone. I need you with me, not just because of my family, but because of what we could have together." Marcus felt his heart soften. The fear, the doubt, everything he had been holding on to seemed to fade away in that moment. He looked into Kira's eyes and saw something real, something that went beyond politics and power. He saw love. "I don't want to be a part of your family's plan," Marcus said, his voice steady now. "But I don't want to lose you either. I'm not going to let them decide our future for us." Kira's eyes lit up with relief and she pulled him into a tight embrace. For a brief moment, Marcus felt like he was holding on to something he had been searching for his entire life. A future that wasn't dictated by others, a future where he could choose what was right for him. "I've been waiting for you to say that," she whispered, her voice full of emotion. "I knew you had it in you." They stood there for a long time, wrapped in each other's arms, letting the moment sink in. Marcus knew this wasn't going to be easy. The road ahead was still uncertain and the challenges would be many. But for the first time, he felt like he was making a choice for himself, not because of anyone else's expectations, but because of what he truly wanted. The next morning, Marcus woke up to the sound of a soft chime from his communicator. He checked the message and his stomach sank. It was from Kira's father, and it was not a message anyone would want to receive. "Marcus," the message began, "your decision to reject the offer of our family is not something we take lightly. We expect your cooperation or there will be consequences. You will be contacted again shortly to discuss the next steps." Marcus felt a cold shiver run down his spine. He knew that Kira's family wouldn't let him go easily. But this time, he wasn't afraid. He wasn't going to back down. He walked over to Kira's quarters later that day, feeling a sense of purpose he hadn't felt before. When she opened the door, her expression was a mix of concern and determination. "I got the message," Marcus said, his voice calm. "It's time we made a stand, Kira. We can't keep letting your family control us. We have to show them that we're in charge of our own lives." Kira nodded, her face firm. "You're right. I won't let them dictate our future anymore. I know they won't be happy, but this is about us. Our happiness." Together, they walked to the station's central hub, where Kira's father and other influential members of her family were gathered. Marcus's heart raced as they entered the large, formal chamber, but he didn't let it show. He stood tall, right beside Kira, ready to face whatever came next. The patriarch of Kira's family was seated at the head of the table, his cold eyes scanning the room. When he saw Marcus, his expression hardened, but he didn't speak. "This is it," Marcus said, his voice steady. "We're not here to bargain. We're here to tell you that Kira and I are choosing our own path. No more pressure, no more schemes. We're done." For a moment there was silence in the room. Kira's father narrowed his eyes but didn't speak. Other family members exchanged uneasy glances, clearly unsure of how to respond. But then, to Marcus's surprise, Kira's father finally spoke. "You have courage, Marcus," he said, his voice low. "And Kira, she has always been stubborn. If this is truly what you both want, then so be it. We will respect your decision." Marcus felt a wave of relief wash over him. He had expected resistance, but this was unexpected. Kira's family, for all their power, had recognized the strength of their bond. Kira smiled at him, her eyes sparkling with pride. "We've won, Marcus. Together." And just like that, everything changed. Marcus and Kira had made their stand, and they had succeeded. No longer controlled by the demands of Kira's family, they were free to create their own future. As they walked out of the chamber hand in hand, Marcus knew that life would be full of challenges ahead. But now, for the first time, he was facing them with someone by his side. Someone who truly mattered. And that, he realized, was all that mattered.